I know two basic ways to solve the Pyraminx, so I'll show you what they are. One has no algorithms, just the same intuitive move, and the other one has one or two algorithms, but one is very similar to one you probably know if you do a 3x3. So first of all, let me show you a little bit about this Pyraminx. These pieces are called tips, and notice they can only rotate. So this tip will never end up over in this position or up here or up here. So that's nice to know, and it also means that when I say a right move, it's not just turning this right, because once we get these oriented, which I'll show you in a moment, we don't really move them again. So when I say a right move, it's really this whole section, or an R prime would be towards you, an L would be this section, or an L prime away, and a U would be that section, or a U prime the opposite way. I don't ever do any moves that would require a down or a back, so I won't even show you those. So first, let me just scramble this randomly. This is a magnetic cube or pyramid puzzle, so I really like the way it feels. All right, the first thing to do is to align the tips with their proper color. Like I said, since this only turns, it has to be, the color on here has to be aligned with this color. So I need to turn it until it's green. Okay, that one is already blue. This one needs to be yellow. And this one needs to be yellow. And obviously when one color is correct, then all three sides of it are correct. The next thing to do is figure out what you want to be the bottom color. The way I do that is I hold the puzzle fairly straight up and I look at the top tip. So I'll tilt it for the camera. This tip is blue, red, and green. So there's no yellow on it, so we automatically know that the bottom facing down is going to be yellow. So what I do is I take each of these three bottom sections, this has yellow, and turn it down so yellow is facing down. Here's one I'll turn down, and this one we've already turned, and this one I'll turn down. So now you can see all three of the yellow tip sections are facing down. So the yellow layer will be my base layer, and I will start with it. What we want to do first is these center pieces. So this needs to be green and yellow, and it's already there and in place, so that's good. This one needs to be blue and yellow, which it is, but it's flipped, so I'll show you that in a moment. And this one needs to be red and yellow right there. So we need to find it and place it. Now it will only be in one of these positions. We see it right there. Or it could be already on the base layer in the wrong position, or like we saw with the blue and yellow, in the correct position but flipped. So in this case it's right here. What we want to do, though, is we want to notice the color of the face that's facing us. So this is red. We can tell by these red tips. This top part might be moved, so don't pay attention to it as much, but you know this is the red side because we see those red tips. So what we want to do is find that piece again, and there it is. And we want to rotate this so that the color that is the same as this side is facing us. So red here is facing us. If we had it like this, the red's not facing us, so that's not how we want it. So once we have it in the position we want, it's over here. We don't want to move anything right now that affects this side it's on, like that. So we want to move the opposite side. And what we want to do is we're going to bring this piece, because that's where we want it to go, up to here and then move that over and swap it and move it back. So, because if we just move this down like that, then obviously it's not in the right position and it's messed up the yellow down here. So we want to bring this piece up, turn this top part over, so we're basically putting our target piece there, and we're just bringing it back down. And that has inserted it into the proper place. So now we have the green and yellow part done, the red and yellow part done, and now we have the blue and yellow. When you have something like this, we need to get this out of here. So let's just arbitrarily move one of these there. So if we were moving this piece there, we would do it like we did before, where we'd bring this up, we'd move this over, and bring it back down. And we don't really care in this case it's put there. All we care about is that it's moved the blue and yellow out, and it's now here. So again, we rotate this around. This is the piece we want, but we want the side that's facing us to match this side. It's blue, so that's like that. We want to bring the opposite side up. So in this case, it's this side. We want to move this over so that our target piece is now replacing what we brought up, and we bring it back down. And now it's in place, and we're ready to do the second layer. So sometimes it helps to reorient the top tips to their correct side. So now we see that's the correct side because it's red. And we see that piece is wrong and that piece is wrong. This piece is correct. So the way of solving this without algorithms is sort of a hit and miss proposition. Sometimes it takes longer than others, but you basically just reorient the puzzle so that this is now one of those bottom pieces, and you know how to replace it. This happens to be flipped, so we would arbitrarily move something down there by bringing it up, putting a target piece there and bringing it back down. We've now moved the red and green up and out of the way, so we can bring it around. That's the piece. We want the red facing us because red is facing. Bring the opposite side up to get it, rotate it over, and bring it back down. And now if we reorient the puzzle, that has indeed fixed it. And like I said, sometimes that takes a couple of tries because when you fix one, it might mess up another, but you can ultimately keep reorienting it and solving it that way. The other way to solve is with an algorithm or two, but you start the same as before by completing the bottom layer, whatever you've determined it to be. So the bottom layer here is complete, and I've gotten to this point where I have 3 of these pieces now that are not correct, but they form an interesting pattern. On this side, there's 2 that are the same color, and same thing here, and same thing here. So we know in this case, this is either a Sune, like on a 3x3, or an Anti-Sune. The Sune move is very similar to the 3x3, although instead of doing a U2, you just do a U once, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment. And same thing with the Anti-Sune. If you don't want to learn the Anti-Sune, you can always just do the Sune move twice. But basically, you figure out if you want the pieces that are facing you to move counterclockwise, so over here, or clockwise, so over here. If you want them to move clockwise, like this, then you do an Anti-Sune move. If you want them to move counterclockwise, you do a Sune. But as I said before, if you want to just do a Sune twice, obviously, in this case, it would first move them to here, so the green would be here, and then you'd do it again, and it would move the green back over here. So 2 moves will get it there just as easily. So let's demonstrate with that Sune move. So it's an R, and a U, an R prime, and a U, an R, and just a U once. On a 3x3, you would do a U twice, and then an R prime. And that has moved the two green ones over here, and the two yellow ones over here. So we need to do it again. So it's R, U, R prime, U, R, U, and R prime. And it's solved. Since we know the Anti-Sune moves these two in a clockwise direction, it would just move these over here. So if we wanted to do that instead of the two Sunes, the Anti-Sune is very similar to a 3x3. You start by bringing the right side to U and then doing a U prime instead of a U. So it's R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, and just once instead of twice like on a 3x3, and then R. And that has moved that and done it in one fell swoop. However, you don't always get the Sune or Anti-Sune when you're at this place in the solve. So in this case, we've solved the bottom layer again, and we have three pieces up here that are off. But unlike with the Sune and Anti-Sune, we don't have any two that are the same color facing us. And it looks like they're all three wrong. But in fact, we can rotate this top section so that one will be correct. So that's not correct. That's not correct. That's not correct. So let's try this. That's not correct. There we go. This piece is now correct because it's green and blue. So what we want to do is position this so this is at the back. And we have these two pieces we're going to be working on. We can ignore this for a moment. So what we do here is, you might want to learn this little algorithm, but I actually remember it more just with the moves. So I move this right side to me, the left side to me, the right side away, the right side away. And then I do moves as if this were like a white corner piece on a 3x3. Which I will pause and show you for a moment. So on a 3x3, in the beginner's method, if you're working on inserting your corners, you already have your white cross on the bottom, and I want to insert this corner down here. If the white sticker is facing me, this is over the slot it needs to go in, the moves you make are to swing this around out of the way, move this slice up, move this piece back, and move it back down. So what we're going to do on our Pyraminx, when we're at this position, so we're going to pretend as if this were the white and do the same move. So we swing it around this way, we bring this side up to get it, we move it back, and we swing it back down. So what that has done is not completely solved it, but we are now in a position that we understand. If we rotate this back around, we see that now these two that are off are the same color. These are the same color, and these are the same color. And we now know we can just do either a Sune or an Anti-Sune. We want, it's hard to tell like this. We have to have these aligned. So that's aligned. So now we know we want the yellows to move over here, which is counterclockwise, which is a Sune. We know Sune is RU, R prime, U, RU, R prime. And it's solved.